Then after which I'm just going to quickly run through the territories of Great Benin and in Nigeria perspective. So that means whether Great Benin got to Benin Republic, Togo, or Ghana, or Guinea, I'm not going to talk about all that because I'm just going to talk about the Great Benin territories within the Nigeria context, using discrediting some fallacies being propagated by our neighbors, most especially the Igbos and the Yorubas. So, someone called me and said that, what is the fate of Nigeria? What is the fate of the Benin people when Nigeria eventually breaks? Why can't we maintain just Edo and Delta? I've had a whole lot of that argument. I've also been called to say that Pedro Obaseki is doing an amazing job. Someone I look up to, but I've not really met him in person for us to talk about some of these critical issues. And then I will also say, while I do not subscribe to the word Bendel, why I don't think the fate of our country that will be born, I'm not saying Nigeria now, cannot be restricted to Edo and Delta. We are much more larger than that. And I will explain why I believe Pedro Obaseki's ideology is a political ideology, why my ideas or ideology is an historical ideology. So it is not what was created August 9, 1963 through the plebiscite or through referendum that would have been maintained, or that I think should be maintained, because that was just a political creation from the existence of Nigeria when Nigeria was already in existence. So, but we have had connections with quite a whole lot of other ethnic nationalities within the context of South, Southeast, and Southwest, even in North Central, which I will unveil some of those ethnic groups. Most times I try not to talk about the relationship of Edo and Esan because of Benin and Esan, because of the sensitivity that surrounds it. I will be as very truthful and careful as possible when I try to explain the relationship. I believe that the war that we are looking for, the victory that we hope to get someday in the future, lies in our diplomatic approach. And that is what I must continually educate our brothers about. It is that diplomatic approach that we must employ in the realization of the future of what we are anticipating for a nation that will be reborn. I continually use the word that a nation that will be reborn because we were once a nation. My brother, the owner of this page, shared some African maps, some 100, 200 years old century maps, where you could see that Benin was ascribed as a West African state, a sovereign nation, a sovereign nation. So when we have tasted a country, freedom, independence, sovereignty for hundreds of years, and for whatever instances that happened that made us now become subjected to the sovereignty of another nation. And they are now pushed for the division of this country because it's not working. We must now advocate for a nation that will be reborn, because there was a nation that was born first, where our sovereignty was lost, and now there will be a push for the revival of our sovereignty. But however, before we start going to make some of these push to actualize the nation that will be reborn, we must fundamentally address critical issues that has separated us. For example, the Yorubas. For example, the Yorubas. Now, the Yorubas at one point in history were heterogeneous. They were different people. From the very beginning, they were different people. It was the origin history of Ile-Ife people is different from the origin history of Ekiti. The origin history of Ekiti different from the origin history of Ijebu. The origin history of Ijebu different from the origin history of Ilaje, and all that. So that means the people now called Yoruba at one point in history were not one people. They were not all ancestrally connected, but they had a truce, and their leaders were smart enough to find a way of uniting these different people to become one. They had no ancestral connection whatsoever, but they were able to find a way to unite these people, and that is the rest is history, and that is why they are more important than us in Nigeria, who claim to be ancestrally connected. Sometimes we blame the Yorubas for being very cunning, but in truth, in real sense, they are smart, because every single one of the very key factors, coming from a science background, one of the very, very key factors for evolution, for those who had for those who have inclination, for those who have inclination towards for those who have inclination. So, James Smith, I don't even know what to tell you. It is true that, you wanted to write, is it true that Yoruba is selling land? First of all, Oba do not sell land. You don't sell land that you own. Oba does not sell the land that belongs to him in the first place. So you have to correct yourself. I know you most likely will be an Igbo person where you don't have leadership. So, and that's a very foundational problem that is still affecting your kind. We the Benins will have leaders. So for your information, Oba Benin owns the land. So he cannot sell what he owns. Whatever he wants to use his land for, let him use his land for. So that is not even a big deal. Yes, I agree with you. Greatest brings glory. Language is one of the most potent instruments for unity of the people. And that is what we must now critically look into. And that's why it is very, very fundamental we look at the problem that affects the Benins and the Asians. if we are able to cross that puzzle, we might be able to have the language issue resolved. Yeah, how are the Benins related with the Asan people? We are very, very much related. We share the same bloodlines, and the Asans are very, very integral in the making of the old Benin Empire. Very, very integral. Sometimes I frown at Benin people who takes advantage of an ancestral respect the Asans have for the Benins. I dislike those Benin people. I also dislike those Asan people who wishes to change the ancestral respect their forefathers had for the Benin people. I'm not going to mention some names of some dukes who, in recent times, in Asan land, they are trying to do two things. First, they are trying to say that we must change that culture that says that where a Benin man is, an Asan man cannot break collar. No matter how small he is, he must touch the collar and all that, blah, 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 blah. They're trying to change that culture. And I also frown have for the Benins. We want to now make it feel that the Asans are Benin children. The Asans, in truth, are not Benin children. James Smith there are few foundational things you must know. Let me advise you. When you come to other people's pages, you must respect them. If you don't want to respect them, but you must do yourself a favor by showing decorum. I know respect does not flow in the blood of the Igbo people, hence they are very disrespectful, very arrogant wherever they see themselves. But I must warn you, if you try to come to this page and be disrespectful, I'm going to block you straight. So I don't have time for low-life punks who doesn't know how to respect other people's opinion. I'm sure that there are a whole lot of Biafra pages. I don't go there to insult anybody. I just allow them misguide themselves with whatever ideas they have. For a truth, if nobody owns any land in Igbo land, that's your culture. The major reason that my culture is respected than Igbo culture is because we have respect. We are not insolent like you people. We have respect for others. And my culture simply states that the Oba of Benin is the owner, the custodian, Oba Nyaido. So, that's all. I heard you guys used to beat your Ezes and disrespect. Anyway, your Ezes cannot be respected because when to every 4 houses there's an Eze, there's a king in your land. So you guys are born to disrespect your kings because you can. Sorry, the network. Something just happened on the network. I'm so sorry. Yeah. Sorry, we're back. We're back online. It's network just almost tripped off. I just pray the network don't mess today up. Anyway, let me not be distracted. Like let me not be distracted. Let's talk about Esans and Benins. Like I said, there's an ancestral law that states, agreed by the ancestors of the Esans, agreed by the ancestors of the Benins, that the Esans show respect to the Benin people through several practices, one of which is the breaking of the kola. All right. It is also in return that we, the Benins, must not use that sign of respect that Esans has for Benin to make them feel subservient to us. It's just respect. It's just respect. No, the network is okay now. The network is okay now. The network is okay. I think nothing is wrong. Nothing is wrong with the network now. Okay. Sorry. The network is okay now. You can check if the network is good now.
What is that?
How you do? Find pure water, make a put for inside, right. Make a cup. Is the network okay now? So, like I've said, we must find a way for the unity of these ancestrally connected people. Not to make it seem that one ethnic group or that go buy now. Just buy. You guys 20 naira now. I don't know whether I get change again.
I get 55.
Just buy pure water. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Sorry. So the point is what I'm trying to drive out. I've listened to the very two sides of the quarrel the Benins have with the Esans and the quarrels the Esans have with the Benin. I think it's about respect, not an ancestral issue. It's more of like a respect. The Esans want to revolt because they feel that the Benis, think that they are subservient to them. Now, if for example, assuming in one of the works of the most popular Esan historian, C.J. Okoje, that's Christopher Okoje, Dr. Christopher Okoje, C.J. Okoje, in his works, the Esan Native Laws and Customs, pointed out how Esans left Benin. Now, my fundamental argument about that fact is this. My name is Zodowa. If today I decided to leave Benin, I relocate from Benin, I make this facts so that people can understand how some of these things can make some people feel bad about it. If assuming my great grandfather, what's my great grandfather's name, sir? My great grandfather is Imaswen. Yeah. My great grandfather is Imaswen. If Imaswen left Benin 150 years ago and migrated or traveled, however you want to put it, to Germany, for example. Just bust one, put my check here. And travel to Germany, for example. That's where my grandfather was born, in Mayenahwe. And that's where my father was born, Amogwe. And that's where I was born, Izodowa. Now, will you not tell me that I am a son of Benin, being that my recent nationality, I'm not German by birth, but ancestrally I am Benin. So when I'm trying to interact with my Benin brothers, they're not telling me that I am their children. I'm their child. Let me put it that way. I'm not a lower class specimen. I'm trying to use a better word to use it so that we can understand it. I'm not a lower class specimen or citizen of Benin. I am a Benin man. So the point is this: if it is true that some majority of Asians migrated from Benin to become who they are, that makes them Benin. By that virtue, they cannot be subservient to who they are. But Ray Samson, my network is not bad though. I don't know, maybe your network over there. I have a good network here. My network is not bad. If it's bad, I would just say it's bad. It's not bad. My network is really strong. I seriously think, Zogia, that's not true. I seriously think that's not true. Are you not saying that if me as a Benin man go to Yoruba land where they are breaking kola nut, because I'm a Benin man, the Yoruba will not say as a Benin man should break kola nut before them? That's not true. That can't be true. While we are projecting our history, we should project our history in the truest of sense. There might have been some ethnic groups that allows the Benin to break the kola nut because they are ancestrally Benin, not those who are not ancestrally Benin. For example, are you not saying that a Benin man will go in the midst of Igbo man? And Igbo people are like break kola nut. So it just doesn't make sense. We do also allow an Igbo person break kola nut in our own land. So it's about mutual respect. I understand of our greatness and all that, but we must also put it in the right perspective. We must not use it to feel that other ethnic nationalities are not important. Other ethnic nationalities does not have their own pride. Other ethnic nationalities does not have their own culture and custom. I know that Igbos, when you're calling ethnic nationalities that has culture, Igbo does not have. So that's why they are always fond of disrespecting their elders. In short, they don't consider elders in their land. Everybody is just like an elder over there. Let me block this James Smith. It seems like the guy doesn't have sense. Okay, so okay. Okay. In that case, you are right. If it's within the context of Edo State, you are right. But I think that's more of like a respect. It's not It's not compulsory. It's more of like a respect. We shouldn't look beyond it as a respect, as a matter of fact. For example, Owans are ancestrally Benin. If I go to Owan land and they decide to break kola nut and not call me to come and break kola, I shouldn't raise an eyebrow. If they call me to come and touch the kola nut or break the kola nut, that's good. It's respect, but we shouldn't look at it beyond that. That's what I'm saying. If our Benin descendants are come as to show us that respect, it's also respect is reciprocal, like it is being said. So it's also important that we also show them that respect by understanding that it was not mandatory. If they decide not to give me that kola nut to break, heaven will not fall. All right, but they might have stampeded. Yes, that Anambra community could have been ancestrally related, connected to the Benin people. It is like I've said, Mr. Ezogia, it is a respect. It does not go beyond that. On our way, Tabako, you couldn't wabe, no, we do it talking, nothing, a boy didn't. I don't know whether you understand. So, but when some very misguided Benin people now start to think that because other Benin descendants shows us that respect of making us to know that that is where they came from will not amount for we regarding them or seeing them as subservient or less human or slaves. I think it's a foundational issues that has blighted or sort of the relationship between the Benins and Asans. And like I said, I'm not supporting any side. If you ask me in this matter, I have said that I'm not taking any side. I'm not taking the side of Asan. I'm not taking the side of Benin. I'm just saying if there is an ancestral law that says that that's how it should be, all right, it should be. Then if an Asan man feels that why should it be? Yes, it's free. It's his opinion about things. It is not a law that was enacted that it is a must. All right, and that shows that Asan person has disrespected the respect that his ancestors had for the ancestral home. So it's a two-way thing. One shouldn't look like the respect that one is showing to the other makes the other one subservient or inferior to the other, and the one shouldn't not feel that Rota or the law is sort of the sort of a respect that their ancestors have been giving the Benin as a way of a solidarity to show of their ancestral connection to these people must be broken because of civilization. So these things must be balanced. This is about the only thing I want to talk about. I don't want to talk about whether Asans came from Uhe when they were coming from the Great Trek and all that, according to the works of OSB or Morige. I don't want to talk about works of Jacob Wade Araiwa that Asan having an Nissan for blah 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 blah. I'm just saying that if the Asans have been showing the Benin people respect for this long, that is an ancestral respect that we should not think it's a right. We should not think it makes them inferior to us. That's about my point in this whole matter. Which chief broke kola nut? I was in Ile-Ife. I don't think that kind of a thing. Yes, the Ife people prayed, so the Ife people broke kola nut. The Benin people, it was even Chief Ehato Duyofu. Chifegatona, what's the title of the chief that broke the kola nut in Ife? So I was there, so nobody can tell me anything that happened. The Ife people broke kola nut, and the Benin people broke kola nut. The Ife people prayed for Ife and prayed for Benin. Benin people prayed for Ife and prayed for Benin. So that's what happened that day. I was there, except okay, no Mona Joe recently now, about 2 years ago. So, though you know, it's okay. All right. Ouch. It's too. Okay. All right. It's clear now. You will not understand. Amorio Gabriel. You will not understand. This one they call no level. See, before I started discussing this level, I made a very important analysis. What is meant by blue blood? God created the blue blood. Yes, there's actually a blue blood. Are you aware that the snail has a blue blood? Anyway, blue blood is like a special blood. It's a rare blood. There's actually a blue blood. It's a rare blood. What blue blood means in the scientific world is like something that is rare. So, in a societal idealism, it's royalty. Blue blood signifies royalty. When you say some people are blue blood, and when you say some other persons are not blue blood, you're just trying to say that this one is royalty, because in real sense it's actually blue blood. You can actually get blue blood in snail, but it's actually rare. So blue blood is a rare kind of a blood. So that means like royalties are quite rare, and in ethnic groups that understand what royalty is. So you just said, okay, I'm a blue blood. That makes that, in other words, I'm a royalty. Anyway. So like I was saying, Omorio Gabriel, it's really very important, because these were some of the fundamental issues that the Yoruba people addressed. That's why you now have Yoruba people today. I mean, it's different people coming together to form one ethnic group. Now you're not having the same ancestrally related people unable to come together and forge and be united. Now, one of the most important instruments of unity is language. So the question is, if a great Benin country is to evolve, is to happen, which would be the official language? Are you going to tell the Asians to weasel away their language and adopt the Edo language? Are you going to tell the Urhobos to weasel away the Urhobo language and adopt the Edo language? So that is the greatest instrument of unity is language, definitely. So, but I am telling you the issue, while it is very fundamental for we to talk about unity, because once we don't begin to see ourselves as one, when it comes to an instrument of unity, which is language, who is going to shed his or her language for the other? That is a foundational issue. That is a foundational issue. The Asans believe that the language that was spoken in the old Benin, like during the days of the Ogisho, is what they have maintained. that the language that the Edo people now speak has been so corrupted because of the influences of every other ethnic nationalities that came and become part of us. That the undiluted language that was spoken 800 years ago, 1,000 years ago, 1,500 years ago is the Esan language, because at the time they left Benin, their language was not corrupted. So it was a language that was moved from Benin, that they retained in the present day Esan land, that was the original language that was spoken in Benin. I don't know whether you understand. So we are looking at dilemmas, we are looking at issues, so that we are looking at arguments, we are looking at presentations. Is it true? Is it true that the original language that was spoken in Edo land was being retained by the Esan? There's an argument. I unveiled a fact recently about Yoruba Ife, that the original kings of Ife were called Ogene, not Oni. Oba Benin is regarded one of the numerous names of Oba, Oviogene Nuhe. So, and the oldest tradition of the Ife people is called the Ikedu tradition. And the Ikedu tradition simply states that the earliest rulers of Ife were regarded as Ogene. Now, it's Ogene an Edo word or an Urobo word? Of a truth, Ogene is an Edo word, but not being used frequently. For some of us who are not too conversant with the Benin history, I like to say this. The Igwe, during the time of Obaewai the first, is different from the Igwe from the reign of Obaesige. In the days of Ewai the first, in Edowa Atie Agwe Ogene. So at one point in time, Obaesige replaced Ogene Obaesige. Now, a lot of 99% of the Benins are not aware of this fact that I want to unleash. Obaesige actually replaced the word Ogene with Osa. So it is from the era of Osa, that of Obaesige, that the word Osa became very prominent in the Benin language, or Edo language, how you want to put it. But before they introduced the original word Nedoti or Saloboa was actually Ogene, which the Urobo has retained. So that means there might be truth that the original language that was spoken during the days of the Ogishos, or in the earliest times, some of the earliest migrants, the people who left quite a long time ago, retained quite some of those old ancient dictions which could have been corrupted in Benin. So I am presenting the arguments that are going with facts, visible fact. We no longer use the word Ogene, but Ogene is actually an Edo word. Alright? Not necessarily it means God in Edo, it's deeper than God. Ogene in Edo means someone in place of authority, someone that is above every other person, someone in a position like the Oba of Benin. So Ogene means someone in a place of authority that is over every other person's around. Edo, the old Edo language, the old language of the Edo people, are actually Ogene, not necessarily only God. So place, so that means Ogene in one point in history could have replaced the word Oba. I've just explained it. Right? So, but one way or the other, it's not true, it's not speak different too. I'm not Omori Gabriel. I'm not arguing that. I'm not arguing that. Yes, very good example. Aigbe Okosun is there was an Oba that was called. As at now, I'm still looking for an Ejoma that would really tell me which of these two words are correct. There was an Oba that was called Oriogene or Oyogene. Two different Benin words, spelled as the same. Oyogene. Oyogene means like organess, abode, place of residence. Or Oriogene, someone who choose Ogene as a title. Two words. I still don't know which is the actual one. We have an Oba called Oba Oriogene. It's Oreoghene. Oriogene. Oyogene. So that's what I'm saying. No. That's not how you spell it. Organosa, yes. It is now qualifying the organ and equating it to God. Like I've told you, the original in a doing organ, it's someone in place of authority. Organosa. That's how you spell it. Osakbolo, Oriogene. There's an Oba called Oriogene. Is it Oriogene or Oyogene? It could be either of any of these two. But the point I'm saying that this organ is no longer a word frequently used within the Edo cycle, but is frequently retained in the Urobo cycle, who also traces the ancestry to Benin. Now that's because some of these original words. Okay, I'm going to give you a very in order for me to prove what I'm saying. There's a book here. I think I still have it here. God helping me. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, for those of you need to get this book. The title of the book is The Common Greetings of the Benin People. The Common Greetings of the Benin People, written by Hagosa Aisen. He said something when quite a short book. I think everybody should have a copy. Now, I want to read from here. Now, in the palace of the Oba of Benin, there's a word in Uwegwai in the palace. Who can tell me what the palace called blood? Who can what a blood Uwegwai in the palace of the Oba of Benin? What is the word we do Uwegwai na? We blood. Definitely I'm not saying a Saigian, because a Saigian is not a Benin word. It's a Portuguese word for blood. But inside the palace, they don't call blood a Saigian. Now, the same word used inside the palace as blood is the same word the Asian people call blood. I don't know whether you people are understanding what I'm trying to raise out here. That the debacle these are one of the issues that must be foundationally. We must have a unifying language. But how are we, the Benin's, going to convince the Asans that it has to be the Edo language? Yes. Isagen, Jerry Bineweka, Edo tie a blood who were guai. If you meet an old Edo man, if you meet a very ave manigiles zedonede, me I take blood is again. Any anti blood is Iran. I don't know how you guys pronounce it, but I'll just spell. The Edo word for blood is Erohaen. I spell again. If anybody can spell it out. It's Erohaen. That is Edo tie blood. Edo and bloody. The word Esagian is not an Edo word for blood. Is a Portuguese word for blood that the Beninese copied and that became part of our diction. You know, I don't know whether you understand. So these are some of the foundational issues that must be addressed. Yes, the always said I would know where to find. Spelled well by Edwin, greatest Prince Blue. You got the spelling well. So that's the Edo tie blood. These are foundational. That's correct. That's what it's called blood. So these are foundational issues. That's the Edo word for blood. So, however, because of the influxes of the Portuguese into Benin, it sort of affected some recent Benin speakers. The old Benin speakers, Iran also Ayante bloody, not a sagging. So these are some of the foundational issues. But I have been asked to present these. I've been asked when issues like this arises. Saguen. So in Portuguese it's called a sagian. So the Iran, you didn't spell it well. Aigbo Koshun. That's how you spell it. The spelling is up. Someone already, it's the same pronunciation, but it's just that you didn't spell it well. So the foundation, obviously I won't have been lying. I'm quoting from Dr. Aisene Hagosa's work, one of the highest authority. And so however, someone has asked me, in this issue of this language debacle, why do you think that the Edo language should be adopted over every other languages of Benin ancestors? One point that I raised. In the days of the Great Britain, we had Welsh, we had Irish. These languages were not English language. We had the Welsh, we had Irish. These languages were different from the English language. But because the language of the queen, the overlord, have to be the language of the country that is formed. So the argument is not whether whose language is actually the true language. No. It has to be which of these language is being spoken by the Oba of Benin. Who is the overlord of everybody? Who is the king that everybody respects? So the language of the Oba must be the official language of the great Benin people. That's how I solved the puzzle. And I wasn't interested in arguing which of the languages is actually the language that was spoken in Igodomigodo 1,000 years ago, or Benin 600 years ago, or 1,500 years ago. So, because it's not really important anymore. It's not really important. The most important factor that holds, like the chords, like the nucleus, for those of us who are science, they say that the most fundamental organelles within the cell is called the nucleus, isn't it? The most fundamental organelles, the most fundamental organelles within a cell is called the nucleus. The nucleus, without the nucleus, there's no existence of a cell, because that's where mitosis or meiosis, that's where the cell division starts from or comes from. So the Oba of Benin is the nucleus of all Edo people. So his language becomes the language of everybody. So that's how I solved the puzzle of language. In my statement, I have not said that which is original, which is fake. I have not said anything like that. I'm not interested which is original, which is original, which is fake, which is All right, but what I have said, and which is the correct thing to say, is that you build an identity from the very soul of that identity, and the very soul of our collective identity is the Oba of Benin, and his language, what he speaks, has to be the language of his country or of his people. Me, I don't know how to speak French. I don't know. Yes, I also know that it's a Latinized word, sanguine. It's also being spoken by a lot of Latinos. Uses, I think, when you go to some of their hospitals, you just like sanguine clinic or sanguine department or something like that. That means a blood bank. I think in blood bank they just say sanguine. But what I am trying to explain, things really do not matter. What matters most No. It could have been. Let me answer you, Oteme, Jerry. What? How I answer that question, Jerry Bineweka, is I try not to. When it comes to language issue, I try not to feel that this one is more superior than the other in terms of language. It doesn't concern us. All right? I cannot tell you that Edo people own Okoro. I cannot tell you that the Igbo people own Okoro. But what I can tell you is that Okoro is an Edo word that has its own Edo meaning. In Igbo land, it's also an Igbo word that has its own Igbo meaning. I think in Igbo, Okoro means someone who is strong or so. But in Benin, Okoro is prince. I think it became prince because the first name that Eweka the first in Inaya was Okoro. So I don't know prince. I think the first person to bear that name would have been Oba Eweka the first. So because of the position he was before bearing that name, Benin said Okoro means prince. I'll give you another example. When Ewedo does not have any meaning in Benin. At the time, what's his name? Prince Efabo was his name. Prince Efabo. By the time Prince Efabo was to ascend the throne, he chose a name. You know how it is. These names, now by Nyankete, is highly spiritual. So as he threw the last marble, he uttered the first word he uttered becomes a name you'll be addressed as. So the first word he uttered was Ewedo. Ewedo had no meaning in Benin. So, but when he became the Oba, he introduced the prison system. He was the one who introduced the prison system into Benin. How do Benin even call prison? So prison, how do Benin call prison? Prison is Ewedo. So Ewedo, when he chose that name, when Prince Efabo chose that name, it had no meaning. So, but when Otoriri, when he joined his ancestors, Edo now decided to call, now say prison means Ewedo, because one of the most unique things invented, created by that Oba was a prison. So I don't know if prison means Ewedo. A prison where do Ewedo at here. I just told you how it came about now. So presumably that's how Okoro came about. So I wouldn't say that because we had a relationship with Igbo. So Igbo bears Okoro, Benin bears Okoro. I don't know who owns it. It doesn't even matter who owns it. I've several times I've always said there's what we call ideological coincidence. When for some of us who believe in the existence of God, which the Benin's call Osanu Dazo Osanowodwa or Rene, you know, for those who believe in the existence of God. Now, God gave his people different, almost the same idea at different time or the same time. So, in the world of science, there's a general notion that we use that when you're thinking of any invention now, there's nothing like a novel invention. Like every single thing that you are thinking that you want to invent now, someone somewhere at one point in one time would have thought about it. You know, would have thought about it. Maybe the only difference between you and him is that you are the one who practicalized it, who wants to make it a reality, who makes those ideas a reality. So God could have given the same name to the Igbos just like he gave the same name to the Benins. Ideological coincidence. I think that's the word we use for that. Mm-hmm. Are we okay? Are we good? Okay. Now, I said I was going to address two very foundational issues. I think I've talked about one. Peripherally, I've talked about respect between the Benins and the Asans. It's most important. We should look critically into it. It is important then. The second thing I'd like to talk about is territorial integrity. What is the territories of the Benin people? Because today we must continue to remind our people, because the gullibility that flows through the minds of our people is astonishing. So we must now remind our people the importance of knowing when I was going to talk about the territories of the Benin people so that we have maps. Amotekun came and a whole lot of persons are excited about that project. I'm equally very excited about it. It's amazing, it's good. But they included Akoko Edo as part of they said one local government in Edo State, which they called Akoko Edo. It shows the stupidity of some of those Yoruba people that wrote such. Very stupid. Very, very stupid of them to have added Akoko Edo as part of the territories. Before now, they used to add the entire Edo State. 3 years ago, they were used to adding Edo State, but we have given them an unbearable nightmare. Unbearable. It's unbearable. Like that they now resolved that we are too hot for them. So, but now they want to follow backdoor to take Akoko Edo from Edo. We are telling them that we will have to remind them very, very soon that the entire Ondo State is not theirs. We have to remind them that some part of Ekiti are not theirs. We have to also remind them very, very soon that Eko is not theirs. So while all these people ignorantly or stupidly continue to portray broad daylight ignorance, one will wonder, why will people who knows that the territory of people should know what was the territory, what was the boundary? If you understand Nigerian map, let me educate some of our Edo people. First and foremost, if you understand Nigerian map, what is the boundary, or what was the boundary between the old Benin Empire and the old Oyo Empire? Where was the boundary? There was a boundary. Now, I'm going to tell you where the boundary was. The boundary was at Ekiti. The boundary between old Benin Empire and old Oyo Empire is at a place, present day Ekiti State, a place called Otun. Otun. Otun is spelled as O-T-U-N. The boundary between the old Benin Empire and the old Oyo Empire was at a place called Otun. And Otun is at the present day Ekiti State, very, very close to Kwara State. Now, the implication of what that means, if you understand Nigerian map, is that from the northern part of Ekiti, the present day Ekiti North, which is almost having a boundary with Kwara, down southwards was controlled by Benin Empire. So that means there were conflagrations of part of present day Ogun State, part of 100%, that we are talking about almost 90% of present day Ekiti State, part of Abeokuta, Ogun State, and the entire Ondo State was Benin Empire. While westward was Oyo Empire. So our people must be educated. So how then will the Yoruba jump over these territories and now come and claim Akoko Edo? We must ask them questions. Our people must know the truth. If they come out and say, if the Yorubas come out and say that Benin was not having so much influence over them, then I put it to you that Eze, the transatlantic ocean or the ocean line that passes through the so-called present-day Yoruba land? Why is it called Bight of Benin? These are questions our people should be asking themselves. The river that passes through Yoruba land, or the ocean, however, or the sea that passes through the stretch of Yoruba land, is called Bight of Benin and not Bight of Yoruba. These are questions that Benin should start asking themselves. So the point is, we must tell ourselves the truth. So Rio need Taise. Then I was in talk with one of my brother, Onya Efyong, Essien. His great grandfather is the owner of the ancient town in Cross River, Calabar. So the household that Obaborame stayed in was his great grandfather. We spoke for more than almost 3 hours. Yeah, not up to almost 3 hours. 2 days ago, on the relationship between the Efik people and the Benin people. So he's working on releasing a masterpiece. I think Obayawai II, according to what he told me, because I didn't go for that trip, for that historical trip to Calabar, was that Obayawai actually gave invitation to this Essien family to come for his birthday, October 20th this year. So they are rushing to finish that work on the relationship between the Efik people and the Benin people, so that they can present that historical masterpiece to the Oba of Benin during his birthday, October 20th this year. So he's working on that, and by God's grace, I'm going to refurbish him with a whole lot of works, Benin works, so that he can have a very robust book when it comes out. Well, I'm just praying that he's able to finish. He's able to finish that work before October 20th. So if Ike, sorry for not coming on time. We have a lot of for example, Jerry Mineweka. We have a lot of I just told you that the boundary between Old Oyo Empire and Old Benin Empire was at Otum. Now don't forget, there was an Iyase. Have you forgotten this popular street called Okorotun Street in GRA? It was the name of an Iyase. His father had fought in the Benin Ekiti Wars. So when we won those places in Ekiti, a lot of Benin people settled and established, not just settled, we also established some communities within Ekiti. So most of them stayed back, had wives, maybe Yoruba wives and all that, and raised families over there. It was after the restoration of the monarchy, after 17 years of interregnum, Oba Akenzua II invited one of the Benin, though he was born and bred up in Otum, Ekiti State. So the Benins remember that he barely could speak Benin. So his name was Iyase Okorotun. It was also a very tough Iyase, though. It was also a very troublemaker. You know, Iyases are usually troublemakers, except this present Iyase, who is not a troublemaker. But most Iyase, if not 99% or 98% of the Iyases, are troublemaker. The present Iyase is the 17th Iyase of Benin. Yeah, I think I wrote a quite substantial work on the Iyase of Benin, their names, the year, the era they reigned and all that, the era that they served the reigning Oba and all that. I did an incredible work. I think it's somewhere in the internet. I did that quite a long time ago. Maybe like Iyase's birthday was September. Was it September? Iyase's birthday was September now. Okay. So I did it about a week before Iyase's birthday. It was like a father, Chief Samigbe. So I did it. So that work would have been August, yes. So I think on my page you can see that work by August. So that's it. So there are communities, nucleus of communities. Daniel, so let me finish reading your thesis. It's quite long. Help says the Benin. I'm very sorry to use this word. We Benin don't help ourselves. We're just fighting for money, killing ourselves for nothing. Please just to come together, please. While Ogbede Hama had a guardian, Ihogbe then. Yes, obviously not. Now that's another prominent family. Ihama. I'm not talking about Bede Ihama. I'm talking about the Ihama family, the Uhogbe. So, anyway, my brother, the truth is, we're doing all that we can in doing sensitization of our people, in trying to enlighten our people that we should not be self-centered. We should see ourselves as most very important, and most importantly, we should not be cajoled into believing that some of these Oduduwa Republic, that Edo has to be part of Odudu. Come on, Edo person supporting to be part of Oduduwa Republic? That is foolishness in the highest proportion. Edo people projecting to be part of Biafra? That is foolishness of the highest proportion. Why should you even? Why should we? They are my. If we have not gotten it right, only me if we have not started advocating for our own country, does that mean that we don't have sense at all? And my brother, I have addressed this issue of we Benins calling ourselves very wicked. The love starts from us as individual. All right, I'm sure about 2 years ago, a whole lot of persons who were unwilling to, I get calls every day of Benins who have thanked me a whole lot and said that because of my constant education and enlightenment and telling them of the past heroism of our ancestors, that they have had a rebranded mind about who we truly are. So my brother Daniel Dixon, when I return my brother, I say Dixon. My brother Dixon, it's also your job to educate the minds of our people, so as for them to have a rethink of not being, of being who that they are now. It's quite pathetic though that when we hear news of how some Benin people sees other Benin people as bush savages and all that. When you meet any Benin people who think less of you, who think that all that is Benin is not good, do not fight, do not quarrel. Just tell yourself, am I or lower? Ignorance. Only about your ignorance. It's just ignorant if it's in accordance, in understanding the Benin. If you understand the true blood as a Benin person, he would not see another Benin person as not important. As not important. Mr. Yama, we are not dragging your royal blood with you. But the most important thing, I say this all the time, it's not important whether you are royalty or you are not royalty. It is not important. It was not. Most of the great people that fought for Benin lands were not royals. They were not royalty. What makes you a Benin man is protecting the very interest of a Benin, of your land. That makes you a Benin man. That's the first thing we all should be proud of before we start saying whether this one is a royalty, this one is not a royalty, this one is an established family, this is not a family. First thing first is that we're Benins. Before, I'm not trying to say I'm also one way or the other connected to the royal families and all that, but that to me is not important. What is most important is what I just said. Seeing yourself as a Benin man who is ready to do all he can for the restoration of the Benin people. Well, it's the work we are doing is it's not as easy as you think it is. Ama go way up ma, I am not my high. Ama go way there do tire. Ama go way up ma, I am not my high. So sometimes when people call me and say that we need to do this, we need to do that, we need to do this, we need to do that. I would just tell them that it is not as easy as you people are saying it, because if it was easy for the past 3 years that some of us have been trying to fight for the restoration of the greatness of Benin Kingdom, it would have been a lot done. When you now enter, you will now see that your expectations will be crippled, if not because of some of us have told ourselves that we are not backing out. We're going to fight this cause to the very latter, with or without support. If we were expecting support for the past 3 years, if we don't resign now, if we don't resign for the struggle. But because in our back of our mind, we knew that it is not about support. We are not doing it for ourselves. We're not doing it for just even now. We're doing it for the future generations, and we must be very uncomfortable. We must be very ready to make those sacrifices so that we can be able to effect the necessary change that the world expects us to effect. So it is important at this very juncture. I'm proudly Benin fact. I won't be able, Evans and Perio, I won't be able to, Idia, Eden stories are everywhere. They're like everywhere. Just Google it, Queen Idia. I'm sure you see a whole lot of stories about them. And Eden, you see a whole lot of stories about them. I will not be, even if I want to do that, but it shouldn't be today anymore. Definitely. Every time, Mr. Evans and Porio, every Benin should love ourselves. Please, we are not Biafrans, we are Benin, and Benin is a blessed land. Obviously, Benin is a blessed land. Benin is the land of heroes and great men. So we should always be very proud. We sample our beats wherever we go, because we sample our names. We sample our names. We sample our beats. We sample everything that makes us Benin. We sample it every day. We Mabeya Doni Mazeo. You are mobile me. A whole lot of persons criticize me for that. A whole lot of persons criticize me for that. That who are mobile Zedo and all that kind of. You don't wanna if we move or Zedo. You don't wanna normal ni Zedo. When I mean one of Kakabo Guazedo, if we do a moment, I feel pained about it. So, yeah, to an extent. So yeah, to an extent. So like Enoge Collins have said, whenever I come online, I usually don't give time for coming online. I just come if I'm led by God and our ancestors. And a whole lot of persons have reached out to me whether I'm a Christian or not a Christian. So I try to tell them that it is not important. I'm an advocate of the word, we are Benin first before any other thing. So whether you're a Christian or you're a traditionalist, it's not as important as you being Benin. You became a Benin man first before there was a choice for you to choose between the tradition of your people and the tradition of the white people, or whatever people want to call it. That Christianity is not whatever. I don't want to delve into it. So I tell people that it's not important for people to know whether I'm a Christian or not. I think with the way I pray, people should know that I'm more inclined into the tradition because I pray with by the power of God and our ancestors. That's how I make my prayers. But it doesn't really matter. I don't have any wrong impression about Christianity. When people come and want to curse Christianity, I'll just tell them that you are cursing Christianity with the civilization of Christianity in themselves. See, in the old Benin, all right, some old Benin accepted Christianity, and the old Benin benefited from. There was a video I did on Urugboa being a Christian convert and all that. Esege being a Christian convert, Urugboa being someone which I think I know him, commented on the YouTube, on one Nebo TV YouTube channel. I read it yesterday. I felt pained a bit, but my consolation was that he's ignorant of the truth. What he said was that I wasn't making any sense, that I was more like how do we put, and he said it's more of like indoctrination than history. That is, it was saying that me trying to clap for the white people means that I don't know myself. But in practice, I practice our tradition better than these people. The only thing that most of our people are very good at is to criticize everything. So, but when you've been here for 3-4 years, you should grow a thick skin to some. Wow, wrote 5 novels. I love hearing this. Wow, so Daddy was a professor before he died, though. Daddy was a professor before he died. It's that one of Daddy's son is one of my very good friends. Is in Manchester. No, I think Bros Reggie is in London. Is that in London, Manchester? We are very close friends. Well, I'm talking about one of the sons of the legendary Professor Osborne Omorege. He was always at loggerhead with Obaredia in terms of history because he was in a class of his own. I have 3 of my mentors, present mentors, that are disciples of OSB Omorege. You want to read Benin book, go and read Great Benin, volume 1 to 5. It's an amazing work. So I've read quite a lot of it past Daddy's work, Professor OSB Omorege, and these are the people that we look up to. These are the people that we read their works. These are the people that we are so motivated by their dedication to the history of our land. And I remember 3 years ago when I was privileged to meet with, then he was an associate professor, Uyulawa Swanlele. He's not a professor of history. I told him, I remember I recorded something from him when he was trying to tell me about the Benin Ife controversy. I was just a young lad coming up. I told him that your job, sir, is to write these books. That's what I told the Pa. That your job East to write these books, just like their Jacob Uwavera, the OSB, their Yari, the likes of their Onaiwu, the likes of this was my friend I've forgotten his name. Dr. Accent DN Dr. DN Oronsai, the likes of the Dr. DN Oronsai, these great amazing Benin historians. Okay, on recent times you now have the likes of Osemi Gieru, you have the likes of my daddy, Dr. Ihagos Aisien, you have the likes of this bright, young, intelligent historian. I've read a whole lot of his works. I've forgotten. Okay, a whole lot of this person. What I told Dr. Udila Waswanlele at that time was that your job was to write, and our job was to read and spread. He's a bloody God. FFK. Is it not FFK? Edwin Ehimatie or more giver. Shit. Why this guy? FFK is a bloody, we know that he's a bloody liar, that he's sick, or Migbano sick. Why not remind him of the Benin Ekiti wars? Who won? Remind him of the Benin Ekiti wars. Ekiti are they not classified as Anago? Remind him of the Benin Akure War. Remind him of the Benin Ondo War. Remind him of the Benin Ijebu War. In short, Ijebu people recorded it that there is a parable in Ekiti. He said the parable, I don't know, I don't speak Yoruba. The parable translated in English is that just like Ogbomodu, that is like God of thunder, so that's what Ekiti call God of thunder, wages war in heaven. That's how the Benin people wages war on earth. So if people like their Femi Fanikayo, they comes up to say nonsense, you remind him of this Benin Ijebu war, then you give him references. If you want references, I'll give you references of how we made men's of all of them. Remind him of the Benin Ekiti war, where we conquered almost the entire present-day Ekiti state. Remind him of the Benin Ondo war. Remind him of the Benin Akure war, etc. So we defeated Anago as much as we can remember. Brutal, like we were just beating them like even in the 1950s. I think I've said this. The Ekiti people, even after we lost our sovereignty, we have documents for that. Even in the 50s, the Ekiti people were still paying tribute to the Oba of Benin. Even in the 50s, I'm saying 50s, I'm saying 1950s, they were still paying tribute to the Oba of Benin. For this. So, my brother, let have baked the lying historian like the FFK not lie to you. Someday we'll have to publicly school him when he wants to talk. If he wants to make his historical bravado, you should limit it to the Fulani headsmen or to the Fulani and the Hausa people. But when he wants to make bravado and he wants to use it to upturn truth against the Benin, then we must remind him how we made immense of them severally. Immense of them severally. The only reason that the Benins did not defeat Oyo, not because Oyo was powerful. Few years later, after we allowed them be, the Ibadan people made a mess of Oyo Empire, the mighty Oyo Empire. Ibadan people, Oyo people armies were defeated more than 2 times by other settlements of the present day Anago, Yoruba, whatever they call themselves, Omomo Odua. So that means Oyo Empire wasn't as big, it wasn't as strong. Even Are Ona Kakafo Afonja, one of the head of the military of the Oyo Empire, rebelled and defeated the Oyo Empire themselves in the creation of what led between the war of the Oyo and the Afonja, what led to Ilorin. Now let's not go there. So that means it's not as if Oyo Empire or your people army were that strong. The Benin did not defeat them because we know that the founders or the kings of the Oyo people or the Oyo Empire are younger brother or is, they are laughing of Oyo, is the younger brother of the Oba of Benin. So you do not defeat your younger brother. If Oyo was not Oba Benin's younger brother, the ruler of Oyo was not Oba Benin, would have just run the entire Yoruba land. The Kwara State. That was their saving grace, because the Benins know that the ruler of Oyo, Ivi Ayahi. There was even time that the Oyo people had some dispute with some of these northerners, and Benin went to save their asses. So that's what I'm saying, Eve Ike, that you should say that the Afonja or the Fulani people never defeated them, but it should end there. That if it's not saying that no Nigerian never defeated them, they will not ask them, is it that Benin's Edo people are not Nigerians? If Edo people are still within the confine of Nigeria, that means you should know that they were defeated more than what books can even read. If they were to pay 5,000 cowries to the Oba of Benin, for example, every year, and they pay 4,500, that means their hearts will be whooped again to tell them that okay, do yi moi. No even do ya do yi moi, when I yi moi, come and present your best gifts, your best farm produce and all that. Come and present it to our mom. So these are not bravado, these are facts. So I'm only saying this because someone said that FFK, but however, I think someone clarified that he was not referring to Benin. Since he wasn't referring to Benin, we'll allow that matter die there. But in truth, I want making mess of all these people. So ladies and gentlemen, I came online today to tell you that it is most expedient for us to know that we cannot be subservient to people that was once subservient to us by whatever arrangement. We can't be Biafra. That's an ideology that is less than 100 years. What about the sovereignty? Weren't Benin existing for more than 3,000 years? So you want to throw all that away and become subservient to the people who are so arrogant as they are? They want to become part of Oduduwa, who, in spite of trying to lie to the world that you are from there, still do not see you as part of them. We have to have a rethink. A country must be forged from the present day South, and we must lead that formation of that country. We must lead it. So you, for your right hand, if you were on his page, if he had said it in Twitter, I'm sure a whole lot of person would have just written under it that shut up, Benin people defeated you several times, and just keep your mouth shut. If you want to argue, I'll just I just pack tens and hundreds of references in different books where the Benin defeated them. Then, to challenge him, you now say that he should show you one book that it was written that the Yoruba defeated the Benin. That Yama we be ne dona awari gboe na gbomomo we me be na gben ki ku whether Yoruba or any other person wagmen na gben we wana defeat him. So I say bono. So otherwise allow that you can only rant, but his rant is not, it should not go beyond like I said, his rant should not go beyond Hausa only Kaima. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it's quite late now. I have to thank all of you for coming. I just wanted to tell you how important it is for we to start seeing ourselves as the way we are, great Benin that we are. And we must start consciously doing things that will make us survive. Trust me, we are doing all that we can. We are working as much as we can to educate our people so that we can start to rise again as a people. We are talking to authorities. We are trying to get audience from people who are very, very important in the struggle in the future. Once we're doing our underground job. Once we've done all our underground job, I'm sure a whole lot of persons will be more than excited with the plans that we have for our people. We are not going to sleep. People should not relent. We're just saying that we need all the support. We need to rally around ourselves so that we can be able to do all that we can. So I'm bringing you I'm bringing you this greeting from from Benin. We are saying that Eboede, and we are planning. We must also plan, and not just plan. Edoya ekbita, edoma yoku de, edoma mwegbe, edomwegbe yoku. On your say, managa home you talk. So it's most important we get ready for whatever battle that lies ahead. Very, very much prepared. We are not sounding the drum of war for now because we are not fully prepared. Once we are fully prepared, I'm sure a whole lot of persons will be more than excited. Lastly, a whole lot of persons ask me that if we are to form a security group, what should be the name? A lot of persons said Atalakba. I said, no, how can we use Atalakba? I read in a war of one of my brother, he suggested a Mwemwe. And I said, a Mwemwe is beautiful. A Mwemwe is a beautiful name. And I'm not going to tell you why it is beautiful, because it encapsulates the present situation. So if you are asking me what are we looking for, what should be the name of what we think of the group of the people that we eventually protect, the territorial integrity of the Edo people, I would say a Mwemwe. I would say the Mwemwe. And so for some of you who do not know what a Mwemwe means, I'll put your mind in suspension. When next I come online, remind me to explain the misery of a Mwemwe. And when I'm done explaining it to you, you understand why it is important that everything is just working around for the upliftment of that name. So I thank you all very much. Sade Bawaya, I thank all of you who has been very attentive, who has been following my program, who has been sharing a whole lot of these videos, and we should learn not to be sharing just negative videos. These are positive videos. A lot of my videos have touched a lot of lives, a lot of lives. I mean it, I'm sincere. And so with a wider coverage, give a wider coverage, more lives. When people get to listen to some of these things that we talk about every now and then, on how we try to use our history, iron sharpeneth iron. That's what the Bible says, not said. This is not past tense. So we will be able to share this video as much as you can so that it gets to a whole lot of persons, and so people can always learn the truth, facts about our people and our past exploits and our realistic state, and what we can do to be better than what we are currently doing now for the future. So I'm sure the next live video I'm going to do, I'm still going to lambast a lot of our so-called elites. They are one of the problems that we're currently facing. But before then, I want to thank all of you. Brother Jolly, Audion Oko, so why I was say, I'm going to do it. All right, cheers, bye bye.